Hello and welcome back to another episode. Now today I've finally gone and done it. Yep, I've got my hands on a Nintendo Switch. And I've just spent a wonderful weekend getting to know this console. In fact, I've just had the first weekend off in the past couple of months. Both me and my wife had nothing to do this weekend. We didn't have to travel anywhere or be anywhere or stay overnight anywhere or do anything. We even managed to get a food shop done this weekend. Yep. So it's been exactly what the doctor ordered. And it's also been a strangely nostalgic weekend playing the Switch. And I'll explain that in a moment. I suppose first of all I should explain why. Why do I have the Nintendo Switch? And the reason really comes out of the past couple of months of travelling. With all of the back and forth that we've been doing to Wales, a couple of 100 miles each way, we've been staying overnight quite a lot with friends and family. 1 or 2 nights in a row, and usually when I stay overnight somewhere I take with me some key essentials, a couple of graphic novels for example, maybe a couple of books to dip in and out of, obviously clothes and a toothbrush, but also lately for example, over the past few years I've been taking with me my 3DS, my new 3DS as it's called. And I love that console. I really, really love the idea of the new 3DS. The design is wonderful, nice and solid, but with that sort of SNES kind of button layout with the colour scheme. The solid 3D is very much appreciated compared to the old 3DS, I guess, where it tracks your eyes, and it's a great little console with wonderful games like Zelda: Link Between Worlds, the follow-up to one of my favourite Zelda games, A Link to the Past. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze is on there. Luigi's Mansion 2, a brilliant game, and actually the game probably that I've played the most on that console. But there was also a big problem with the 3DS, with the new 3DS, and that was its size. Unfortunately for someone with my hands, that console was just a bit too narrow. You try and put your fingers on the shoulder buttons, and then where your thumbs want to rest, it's just too far in. You have to sort of bring them out to actually get to the buttons on the console. So the letter buttons here and the joystick here, and it just makes your hand sort of cramp up. And it meant that over the past few years, even though I've been taking that 3DS with me everywhere, on the train, on the plane, I took it to on holiday last year, to friends, on work trips, I hardly ever play it because it's just uncomfortable to use. And I haven't wanted to acknowledge that. But it really, really, the straw that broke the camel's back was in these past couple of months, and actually last weekend, when it had been a really hard day. We'd been sorting through the house in Wales, finding bits and bobs. It had been an emotionally taxing day, and I just wanted to relax and play some 3DS, and my hands wouldn't let me. I was sort of lying on the couch and just couldn't. I couldn't play that game, that console, and I was going crazy. In steps my friend and colleague and contact at Cash Converters, who I was talking to about this problem, and he said, well, tell you what, next time we get a Switch in, you bring your new 3DS, the charger and the 3DS games. I've also kept all my DS games, but the 3DS games, and I'll give you a brilliant trade-in on a Switch. And I thought about it, and when he said it was going to cost me about £45, I simply had to. I simply had to get the Switch. I mean, £45, why wouldn't you? Especially when you're trading in a console that you just don't use. So that was on Thursday, and over the past few days, this thing has simply been a delight to play with. I've been utterly loving it. For a start, it's comfortable to hold. My fingers don't scrunch up on the back, trying to contort my hands to sort of be able to push the face buttons and the shoulder button at the same time. But actually, I can hold the thing like that and reach the buttons comfortably. The thumb rests basically where it needs to be. The top fingers are where they need to be for the shoulder buttons. It is brilliant. The only uncomfortable part, I think, is trying to reach the right hand stick there. So if you're holding it maybe on the sofa, if you're lying down or if you're in bed, it's a bit awkward to sort of get at and do that. But that's nothing compared to the discomfort and frustration that I had trying to play with the new 3DS. So this thing fits wonderfully in my giant adult hands, but also it's sort of reminiscent of the old Game Gear, for example. I never actually had a Game Gear, but I knew people who did, and I held them back in the day. And it's kind of like a Game Gear. It's pleasing in that sense as a portable console. And on top of that, my friend threw into this deal Super Mario Odyssey, a game that's worth £40 on its own, never mind with the console. And it is the true follow-up, the sequel, I suppose, spiritual successor to Mario 64 and Mario Sunshine. Two of my favourite Mario games, I suppose with a bit of Mario Galaxy thrown in there as well. And crucially, my favourite type of Mario game. One which is more exploration-focused, less linear, more quirky characters and little secrets to discover, coins to collect in little, alcoves, this kind of thing. For that very reason, the nostalgia has been heavy with this console over the weekend. It has felt the same way it felt when I first played Mario 64 on the N64 on that Christmas day all those years ago. It is quite simply magnificent. And just like all those years ago when I first got the N64, I've been grinning from ear to ear this weekend playing on my Nintendo Switch. And it works wonderfully well as a home console too. Plugs into the dock and switches over to the TV almost instantaneously. The Joy-Cons sliding off and either becoming one controller or two separate Joy-Cons works very intuitively. And I guess I suppose I would say it feels like Nintendo have taken the best of the Wii and its motion controls, and the best of the Wii U with its HD graphics and the idea of the tablet, and delivered it in one wonderful little package that is the Switch. So the Switch is great. I know I'm not the only person suggesting that on YouTube, but for me personally it has solved that portable gaming issue that I was having with the new 3DS. But also it's a very good home console as well. It's got lots of potential, and I look forward to trying out games like Doom, for example, on this console. Also, Snipper Clips, the demo. My wife in particular loves that game, and I've had a lot of fun playing it with her as well this weekend. So the Switch is great, but there's one thing that I was concerned about, and that is, would I regret having not got a Switch sooner? You see, I specifically didn't get a Switch this time last year. I simply didn't have the spare cash to spend the better part of, I suppose, 350 quid on a console and Zelda Breath of the Wild when I really wanted to play Zelda Breath of the Wild. And you may recall, I picked up a Zelda Edition Wii U and Zelda Breath of the Wild for the Wii U back in March 2017. And I'm so happy to say I do not regret that at all. I've been playing this, and I have been in the back of my head thinking, would it be nice to play Zelda on this? And maybe at some point I will get hold of Breath of the Wild for the Switch so I can play it on the toilet if I want to. But crucially for me, Zelda Breath of the Wild and the Wii U were a wonderful, and are a wonderful pairing. The heft of the controller, the fact that I am playing it either on my TV, or if I really, if I want to, I could just about get a signal up in the bedroom and play it there on the tablet. Was a great way to play that game. The graphics certainly are almost indistinguishable, and the experience, I think, in terms of the buttons and in terms of the layout, is one that I'm always going to cherish. And as I say, I have no plans to get Switch Breath of the Wild anytime soon. In fact, for example, games like Skyrim, which I very much treasured playing on the Xbox 360 and also getting the expansions for that game, I'm not going to dive in and get the Skyrim for Switch either. I think Switch is going to be a console on which I experience new games, so things like Doom, for which I don't have an Xbox One, I don't have a PS4, so Doom on the Switch I'm going to try and get hold of. So no. And I'm really happy about that. I'm really happy that I do not regret doing what I did last year, getting hold of the Wii U and playing Zelda on that particular console. It's it's always going to be special to me. And frankly, I'm quite some way from 100%ing that game on the Wii U. There's lots more to do. So I'm so relieved that the Switch and the Wii U don't feel like they're clashing. Certainly not in my house, at least. There's room for both of them, and I do treasure the experience that I had with Breath of the Wild on the Wii U. So that's a relief. But the Switch has been really everything that I hoped it would be, and so far it's been nothing that I feared it might be. In so much as the build quality is better than I feared it might be. Even actually the use of the Joy-Cons as individual controllers works better than I thought that it might do. Yes, okay, I have big hands, but for short gaming sessions like with Snipperclips, my wife and I have been able to use these controllers, one each, and it's fine. You know, for an hour or two, it's absolutely fine. No, it's not a 6-hour gaming session controller. Your hands will cramp up after that, but it works. It works, and it's an elegant solution. Speaking of an elegant solution as well, one final thing that I do love about this console is the way that Nintendo have incorporated the plus and minus buttons that they've had since the Wiimote for the Wii into the design. So the plus and minus on the Joy-Cons, they help you to register the console together. So to click the Joy-Con to the console, but also the Joy-Con to the wrist strap sort of connector, helps you to line those up properly. But also they are actually buttons. I really like that they're functional in terms of registration, but also if you press plus, well, something happens on the screen, but basically, yeah, start and select, basically equivalent. I very much appreciate that. It's a well-designed, wonderful little console, and I look forward to seeing what comes out on this thing. Obviously, as a guy who's used to buying second-hand games for the most part, for example for the Xbox 360, some of the games at the moment are a little bit outside my price bracket, but I can survive on Mario Odyssey, my Wii U, and the occasional game on the Switch. I'm not, I'm far from suffering, definitely. Anyway, I simply had to share this. It's just been wonderful, and crucially, playing Super Mario Odyssey this weekend has just been, it has been exactly like playing Mario 64 for the first time. It's brilliant. As ever, guys, until next time, do take care. Bye bye.